Okay, now we already arrived at step 4 of our 4 steps to productivity. And step 4, my step 4 is process and file. So what does this mean? First, processing. And I'm mainly referring to what David Allen recommends in his book Getting Things Done. What he calls processing. He has a very nice flowchart in his book, and I do it quite accordingly. So I want to show you what he recommends how you should process your things. So where are we? First of all, we have our inbox, and what the inbox means. That was the discussion of our former chapter, of the chapter about collecting everything. So inbox doesn't only mean this container where you put all the pieces of paper in, but inbox is everywhere where there's things coming in. So of course it's like a container where you have all your loose sheets and your letters and your bills and everything that comes in, but inbox also means your email inbox. It means your phone inbox, like your voicemail and phone calls coming in and reminder sheets that somebody phoned you. It's all your social media channels and everything. So this all is inbox. And what usually happens when people have a physical inbox or all the other inboxes, that it's a container to collect things. It's not seen as just a very temporary container before you know where to put things, but many people collect everything in their inbox. And sometimes when they look for something, they have to go all the way through their inboxes and they can't find it, but they find other stuff that makes them nervous because they see, oh shit, this is in here, I have to do this and I have to do that. And I forgot completely about that, and so on. So this is what usually happens to inboxes, and not only physical ones, but for example, also your email inbox. Many people keep all their emails in their inbox, which they do not answer right away. So they have like hundreds and 200, 500 emails in their inbox. And this is just not the way it should be. Inboxes are very temporary. It's just the first step where you put things when you first have them in your hands, physically or not that physically. And processing should happen at least once a day. And processing means that you take each piece that you find in your inbox and just make a quick decision on how to proceed with it. What is the next step? And you should always be sure that you only take any piece just once in your hand. So don't put it back into the inbox. Never put it back into the inbox. You take it, you make a decision, and that's the process. You make a decision, what's the next step, and then it's out of the inbox and it's somewhere else. And where it should be there afterwards, this is the main topic of this chapter. So you have your inbox, and now it's your time of the day where you want to process. So you take the first item out, and you take one after the other. And the first thing you ask yourself is, what is it about? So this is just a quick question, and it would even be better if you would ask yourself already before putting it into the inbox, because you might already put something into the trash right then. Because if you have a sheet of paper in your hands, and many people don't bother to just take some seconds to ask themselves this question, what is it all about? Everybody gets lots of emails and reminders and information sheets and so on. And sometimes you just carbon copy, you just CC, and it's nothing that you have to do, and it's no information on it that you ever have to keep. So you might as well put it right into the trash. But okay, it's now in your inbox, and now you have it in your hands. And now the first question is, what is it all about? So this is really an important question. Does it really matter in my life, in my work life, in my private life at all? And once you decided, okay, it's something that refers to any of my projects, then the second question is, can I do something? So can I do anything about it? And then the answer might be no. So you can't do anything about it. And if the answer is no, what's the next step? Actually, there are 3 possible steps. So you say, I cannot do anything. And I love this one most. It's putting it into the trash. Okay, it doesn't concern me. I don't have to do anything about it. And the information on this sheet, on this email, whatever it is exactly, will never be relevant to me. So then please dump it. Second possibility is that it's not valid right now. So it's an information about a future project. It's an information that your beloved rock pop group will be here in 1 year. So you don't have to act right now. Mm-hmm. So just things that will concern you and your life at some point, but not right now. And there it's the best to put it into a follow-up system. And I will talk a little bit more about it in the next video. So you can put it in the trash. You can put it in the follow-up system. And what happens is that you don't have to keep it in your mind, that your subconscious doesn't bug you, because you know it's in a safe place and you will be reminded when it's really important. And the third possibility is that you file it. You don't have anything to do. There is no action required, but this sheet contains information that you might need at some point. So this could be price lists. This could be things that you want to quote later on, things that might concern you at some later point, but not on a specific date. So you think, okay, it might be relevant, and then you should file it. And I will also talk a little bit more about how to file in a minute. Okay, so this was about the process when it's no. But when it's yes? Can I do something? Yes, I can do something. Then the first thing you have to find out is how many steps. So, and if it's 2 or more steps, that's what David Allen calls a project. So, okay, sounds funny if you only have 2 things to do. This is already a project. Why is that? And often it seems that there's only 1 step, but there's more. For example, you want to exchange your light bulb, but this lamp is very high, so you need your high ladder. But your high ladder is somewhere in the cellar, and in front of it there is this huge fridge that you wanted to give to a friend, but your friend doesn't live close by, so he still hasn't fetched it. So it seems that it would be easy, that it's only 1 step to exchange this light bulb, but actually it takes more than 1 step. And as long as you don't really think about it clearly, you just keep wondering, why don't I just exchange this light bulb? It takes some conscious thinking that it's more than 1 step to exchange this light bulb to actually finally make it really happen. So you can collect your projects in 1 project list, or you can have a project list for each of your projects. I will also talk a little bit more about that later on. But you should put down what is the next step in order to fulfill this project. And it's always important to use verbs. So you don't write down like ladder, because you might not know what you meant when you read it later on, but you say, okay, the first step, what is the first step to do? First, you have to call your friend when he will come and fetch the fridge. So call Joe and ask about the fridge, about collecting the fridge. So this would be your next steps, your very next step that you have to do on the project of exchanging the light bulb. So of course there are more complex projects than these, especially in your work life, but this is how it starts on being a project and not only just 1 step. But often there's only 1 step to take. And also there you have to ask yourself a question. You have to ask yourself, does it take 2 minutes or more? So can it be done in less than 2 minutes? This is what David Allen defines, the 2 minutes. I would say you can also enlarge it to 3 or even 5 minutes. It depends on your whole workflow. So usually I ask myself if it can be done in under 5 minutes. So you have your piece of paper in your hands and you ask yourself, does it take 2 minutes or less? And when you say yes, then it's the easiest to do it right away. So for example, you go through your inbox and you have this event, and you have to phone somebody to tell them that you are coming. And you think about it and say, yes, it only will take me some minutes. So you just pick the receiver right away and you just phone this person and tell them that you are coming. And then it's done. So this is the easy way of processing things that don't take long. Emails are, of course, often things that you can do under 2 minutes. For example, just give a short answer back on one question. But often there are also things that cannot be done in 2 minutes. And then there are different choices. First of all, you might not be able to do it within 2 minutes because you are waiting for something. So it means the next step is not yours, it's somebody else's. For example, you're waiting for a quote so that you can decide on which craftsman you want to take for something. Or you're waiting for an answer which is important. So anytime you have to wait and it's not your next step, there's always the risk that you might forget about it. So it's good to have at lists, and I will introduce you to that in the next chapter. So at lists make sure that you don't forget that you're waiting for something. Second possibility. No, you can't fix it in 2 minutes. Then the second question would be, okay, maybe I can delegate it. So it's of course nice if you have a good secretary, but if you're a solopreneur like I am, it might be that there is no secretary around. But still, today, you can have many services done by virtual assistants or just outsourcing things, for example, at Fiverr.com. So always think, does it really make sense that I personally do it, or can somebody else do it? This is also good if you have children. For example, if it's something in the household, maybe the children want to clean something or fix something, or if you also have a partner, or maybe you have a cleaning lady or something. So always think, am I really the right person to fix it, or can I give it to someone else? And then, of course, there are things you're not waiting for anything, you cannot delegate, but you still cannot do them right now. And then you should either write them down in your calendar or in your to-do list. So the calendars are for things that can only be done at a certain date. So for example, you have a sheet in your hand and it says that there is a meeting on the 28th of November at 11 o'clock. Then you just put this in your calendar. Or on the other hand, you decide the next step on the sheet that you just are holding in your hands is to phone a certain person. And you don't have a deadline, you just should do it quite soon. So you just put down on your project list, phone Mr. X about blah blah, about your project. So just to say it once more, so anything that takes only one step can either be done in 2 minutes or less, then you just should do it. No waiting necessary. Or it can't be done in 2 minutes because you have to wait for something. Then you should just keep it in your ad list, so in order not to forget that you are waiting for something. Or you ask yourself if you could delegate it, or you find a specific time when it has to be done, when it is an event. I will talk about calendars a little bit later too. Or you just you define what exactly you have to do. Don't forget to use a verb, and then you just put it down in your to-do list. So, and that's about it, about processing. And this you do with each item in your inbox. You decide what's the next step, and you just put it there where it belongs now. And then your inbox is empty. And this is a very satisfying feeling.